Major Garrett joins us from Cleveland. And Major, amid the taunting of Joe Biden and threats to sue NBC, we did hear Trump go after that Clinton Inc. memo released by WikiLeaks just yesterday. How effective, if nothing else, was he in staying on message here with what many are calling the most damning revelation yet?
Sure. He was effective with the crowd, but that's not the metric to pay attention to, Josh. Anti-Clinton rhetoric always plays incredibly well at a Trump rally. It has for months. I mean, that's where, after all, the locker-up chants began. And Trump still doesn't know what to do with that all the time. Sometimes he says yes, sometimes he says don't do that, let's just vote and win. But that's not the place to measure the effectiveness of that particular message. What you're beginning to see in the polling data, battleground states and nationally, is that things are tightening up. And that is for a couple of reasons. This message, in a week of revelations, actually several weeks now, but they're getting more and more potent in suggesting that there is something untoward, something more than just slightly suspect about all these various entanglements within the Clinton Foundation, Clinton as Secretary of State, Bill Clinton as a former president. That's rallying Republicans to Trump. And it may be softening up support for those Democrats who had only been mildly attached to Clinton all along. Those two factors bear watching as this election draws closer and closer. Because if Trump is successful rallying those Republicans and can do something with this intense pounding on Clinton about all of these ethical questions to soften up support among Democrats, that could make this race, which is beginning to tighten even more.
And yet, Major, as we do now head down the home stretch in the campaign, FEC filings are suggesting that not only are Republican donors starting to abandon the candidate focus on down ballot races, that the candidate himself is now investing far less of his own money into his own campaign. What more can you tell us here?
Well, this is a huge issue, and it's going to come to a head probably today. I was talking yesterday to one of Trump's more aggressive and eager and energetic bundlers, someone who travels around the country, makes a lot of phone calls, trying to raise money not just for Donald Trump, but for this victory fund, which is shared by the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee. And this bundler told me all the wallets and checkbooks have closed, and all the phone calls and the numbers he dials for reliable donors, they're all on voicemail. No one is answering right now. Why? Because they want to see Donald Trump invest a substantial amount of money in his campaign in the closing days to prove to them that he believes he can win, that he is worth an investment of his own money. If that happens, the wallets and the checkbooks, I'm told, are likely to reopen. How much money are we talking about? Minimum 20 million. 25 million would do even more to prove Trump believes he can win. What we saw in the first 2 weeks of October, Trump only gave $31,000 to his campaign at a time when donors were saying, hey, look, Trump is really involved. He's really going all to the mats. Well, financially, he hasn't been. Does this mean he's going to lose for sure? No. But in every conversation we're going to have between now and Election Day, Josh, I'm going to remind you that the worst thing in presidential politics is to look back after Election Day, especially if the defeat was narrow, and ask yourself what might have been or what you could have done. I'll just put that in this category.
Perhaps then it explains why the candidate yesterday was also seemingly interested in skipping the election altogether. I want to play just a little bit of sound from one of his stops there. It's getting a fair amount of attention today.
We will lower taxes on our businesses from 35% down to 15%. We'll go from the highest to among the lowest. Hillary Clinton wants to raise taxes on small businesses up to 45%. What a difference. You know, what a difference this is. And just thinking to myself right now, we should just cancel the election and just give it to Trump, right? What are we even having it for? What are we having it for? Her policies are so bad.
That would be another way perhaps to rig it there, Major. Let's just call the whole thing off. What do you make of it?
Well, look, there are times when Trump delights his audience and delights himself in the presence of his audience by saying something that is outrageous and comical at the same time. I don't think it would be fair to say that is Donald Trump's orientation to this election. He says far more often, register to vote, vote early, do the right thing, help us win, you got to go out and vote. So it would be unfair to say this is actually Donald Trump's attitude about this election. One thing I will tell you, and there's a writer I'm very familiar with, Selena Zito, she has a very good line about some of Donald Trump's rhetoric. She says, reporters and the political class take Donald Trump literally, but not seriously, whereas his supporters take him seriously, but not literally. And I think this falls precisely into that category. His supporters know he's joking. They want to laugh it up with him, but they also hope to win, and they expect to win. And that's the great unknown between now and November 8th. Yeah,
her words, certainly a precise snapshot, it would appear, of that, if nothing else. Major Garrett in Cleveland, as always, we appreciate it.
You got it.